Marvel fans, hold on to your butts. We just got one of the craziest articles ever written about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's not hyperbole. Like, this is shaking things up. The internet's going crazy because this was a huge article put out by Variety that displays some really ugly truths about what is going on with Marvel Studios currently. And it's bad, and we do have to talk about some of the bad stuff, but there's also a few things that Marvel is considering doing that I think actually will help to turn things around. Like, they're literally considering stopping with this Kang stuff and going into Doctor Doom. I think that would be a W. They're legitimately considering bringing back the OG Avengers, including ScarJo's Black Widow, including RDJ as Iron Man. And so in this video, we're going to talk about some of the really ugly truths that are in this article that really just explain how bad things are for Marvel Studios. But then I will talk about some of these positive things and why I basically think Marvel Studios needs to get real crazy, be very bold in this moment, and do some things to right this ship, because at its current trajectory, Marvel Studios is not looking good. Oh, and by the way, I'm not going to go over the article word for word here. I did read the article in its entirety earlier today on a live stream. The current thumbnail has like Invincible on it, but we didn't end up talking much about Invincible because this article was bananas. I'm just saying that so that if you want to get the full picture of the article, you either got to go read it on Variety.com or you can watch the stream on my live streaming channel where I literally go over the whole thing. Okay, so the article begins by talking about a creative retreat that happened earlier this year with the Marvel Studios executives, everybody involved trying to figure out what they're going to be doing with the next couple of years of content. And the article makes mention that normally these are really positive, really fun experiences. That team over there has been killing it. They've literally been redefining entertainment. 32 films, $30 billion of box office. Unbelievable success with Marvel Studios. They've changed the game. I mean, they have people like Martin Scorsese constantly commenting on how it's amusement parks, and he's all really, really grumpy. Marvel changed the game. But at this point, we gotta be honest. We look around and it's just not the same. Things have been on a serious decline almost exactly since Avengers Endgame. And I saw Chris, 3C Films, great YouTuber, great content creator. I saw him sort of tweet out this article earlier, and I don't remember exactly what his tweet said, but it was something like, I used to roll my eyes when people said the Marvel Cinematic Universe was failing, but now I kind of can't deny it. And I think that's where a lot of people are at. Like, at this point, we can't deny it. I mean, the article itself talks about how the Marvels might just be one of the lowest box office grosses of Marvel's history. A movie that cost $250 million projected to come in way lower than the first movie. It might have the lowest domestic opener for a Marvel movie ever since Iron Man 1. Like, in the whole catalog, 33 films in, you might have your lowest domestic opening. So, I mean, that's just proof in the pudding. It's like, what is going on? And man, do they go hard on the T in this article. They talk about all the craziness, the drama, how it's been delayed multiple times, how they have done a ton of reshoots for it. They've been testing it constantly, and people are just not liking it. They even did a public screening in Texas last year, and it was considered mid. Like, they kind of say it was middling to the audience, but that's mid. Like, literally, they showed it to the public last year, and the public was like, that's fucking mid, bro. And in one of the craziest things I've ever read about a huge movie like this, they are reporting that Nia DaCosta literally left. She left early this year. She wasn't even there to help them put the movie back together after the latest reshoots. She went to Europe and started working on a different movie. She's over it, and that's crazy. And they talk about Blade, how it's falling apart. They've had multiple script issues. Guys, they say in the article that one of the versions of the script would have literally focused on a female lead and been about life lessons. Mahershala Ali would have been something like the fourth lead in that movie. It's like they were literally doing the Panderverse stuff for Blade. And now they do have a really good writer on it. They're trying to rework it, but they're probably going to make the budget of this thing less than $100 million. So now we're getting sort of a watered down, smaller in scale Blade movie because Marvel's been fumbling the bag with all of these other crazy ideas and shows. I mean, they spent $250 $15 million on Secret Invasion. It looked like shit, and it's so bad that most people want the MCU to reboot just so that we don't have to have canon Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury making out with the Lizard and leaving Earth in a horrible freaking state and then just going up to Sword. So because of all of that, now we're going to get this less than $100 million budget Blade movie. Oh my God. And then a large portion of the article is talking about Jonathan Majors. There's literally a quote from somebody in Hollywood that says they are just fucked when it comes to this Kang angle. Apparently Marvel was considering getting rid of Majors or shifting their plan to have Majors be the end-all be-all villain of all of the multiverse saga way before this court case. Actually, just because of how badly Quantumania was received, they already were thinking of ways to pivot into a different villain. And the Majors case is not looking good. I know a lot of you guys picked up on the fact that there was reportedly charges being pressed against his ex. That's kind of not even true. Like the prosecution, I guess the defense in this case, they tried to get charges pressed against the female that he was with that night, Jonathan Majors. The DA threw it out immediately. They were like, no, dude, this is nonsense. And we also got reported in Rolling Stone that Jonathan Majors' legal team is out there leaking stuff, trying to paint it in a way to make him look like he's really innocent. And maybe he is innocent until proven guilty. He will have his day in court at the end of November because the DA refused to push the case back any further and did not throw the case out. Remember, early on, Jonathan Majors' lawyers said, as soon as the DA sees the evidence, they're going to throw this case out. There's no grounds for any of this here. Well, apparently that's not the case. So it's looking really bad for Kang, and it's just so crazy that Marvel bet so much on that guy and ended up, I think, making a horrible mistake because it's put them in limbo. Now, look, all of that's really crazy, but Marvel is aware that things are not working, and they make mention in this article that at the end of the day, the big problem here is that Feige used to get in there and put a personal touch on every single Marvel movie to sort of bring it home. His genius lies in post-production. He's able to look at a film, look at a project and say, okay, but we need to tweak this, and this to really bring it home and make it the best that it can be. But after they started doing Disney Plus streaming shows and expanding into other kinds of movies, Feige did not have the personal bandwidth to put that personal touch on every single project. It's right there in black and white, and we've heard this corroborated by several different people before. I believe Jeff Snyder has talked about this, the fact that Feige is stretched way too thin and that he used to personally adjust every single project. But now let's talk about the good news and why I think, despite this being ridiculous, despite the sky kind of falling, I actually think there's a way out of this. And I think some of the ideas that Marvel is considering are really good. Like, it's right there in the article. Marvel, during that creative retreat that we mentioned earlier, was actually talking about shifting away from Kang and Jonathan Majors and instead focusing on another villain, Doctor Doom. And oh man, as a massive Doctor Doom fanboy, I want this so badly. I mean, many people just thought they would do this anyways. Doctor Doom is the main villain of essentially the OG Secret Wars and the Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars. Like, it was actually kind of crazy to imagine Secret Wars without Doctor Doom. Kind of weird. Didn't seem possible. So a lot of us thought, well, they're probably just going to have him come in, slaughter the Council of Kangs, take over at the very end, and become the big bad on Battleworld. And now that is apparently an actual option here, and I think it would be brilliant. I'm going to do a whole video on how they could pull this off and why they should go this way, but Kang is just not that good of a villain, frankly, and I think given the handling of the Kang character in the multiverse saga so far, we've seen him lose multiple times, and I just don't think it's resonating with audiences really. So given the court case with Jonathan Majors, that whole situation, given the fact that Quantumania super underperformed, given the fact that even Loki Season 2 seems to be underperforming in viewership, and the fact is I think a lot of fans are just not loving Kang the Conqueror as a villain, I think it's a perfect opportunity to jump into Doctor Doom. They are doing a new Fantastic Four movie, and the rumor is that that Fantastic Four will be from a different universe. They will be brought to New Earth at the end of that movie, which will essentially be Battleworld, where Secret Wars takes place, and also the the rebooted 616 for the MCU reboot. So they kind of have the perfect opportunity to do this and have Doom take over as the main villain. Now, the other thing that's in this article that Marvel is considering is bringing back the OG Avengers, including Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man and Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, for more than just Secret Wars, but to bring them back as the actual main cast of Avengers in the Marvel Cinematic Universe going forward. This would probably coalesce with the MCU reboot. It'll be a soft reboot. Maybe some people get replaced. But the main thing that they talk about in this article is bringing Robert Downey Jr. back, paying him a massive amount of money per film, but doing it because things are just not working right now. And we're not resonating with this cast of characters in the same way that we did during the Infinity Saga. Now, this is a bit controversial. I've seen some fans online saying, I don't want that. I want their sacrifice to remain intact. But for me as a fan, not only do I want this, I already expected it. I've been talking about it in streams and videos. I think it makes perfect sense. And we live in an era where you have Ian McKellen in his 80s coming back to play Magneto for Deadpool 3. That's the rumor. I believe it. You've got Mark Hamill continuing to play Luke Skywalker, or at least aid in the performance of Luke Skywalker. You've got Harrison Ford coming back to be Indiana Jones in his late 70s, and he's going to be doing Marvel movies into his 80s now as the Red Hulk, aka Thunderbolt Ross. We live in the day and age of these actors, these legacy actors that had these legacy roles, coming back to those roles because that's what's popping right now, and they want their roles, their performances, and their body of work to be remembered. It's a fun thing for them. That's why they're doing it. The money's also good. And I personally think this is what Marvel needs. Like, they need to get real drastic, shake things up, bring back the OG Avengers, shift into Doctor Doom, and I frankly think that will probably be enough to carry the hype through. And if the projects themselves get better because they slow down production and allow Feige to do his thing and bring all of these projects to a really high level, I think the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to be fine. But make no mistake, we are in way crazy uncharted territory with Marvel. Things are really bad, and this article explains just how bad things are. Let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comment section below. I'll probably do follow-up videos to this because it's just so crazy. I want to talk about Doctor Doom. I want to talk about the OG Avengers, so look out for more videos on that coming to you soon. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.